Hello everybody and welcome to the United Stand. We are back again with this Liverpool duel in the FA Cup this time, and we've swapped Chris for Paul from Redmen TV this week. How are you doing, Paul?
Yeah, very good, mate. Very, very good.
Well, I'll tell you what, the first thing I want to ask before the FA Cup talk is that it's great to actually, because we just had this game in the league and we've got this league race that United fans sort of don't know whether we're in it or we're not. I think we are in it at the moment. But what's the perception of a Liverpool fan after that game at Anfield, specifically in relation to Manchester United? Do you still... I think Chris last week was a bit of a shock, not really understanding how United had got there. Do you still think that we're or do you think that we're in a title race? Have you seen the improvement? Because it was only a year ago, many people felt that Solskjaer, keep Solskjaer is never going to do anything.
Yeah, I mean, I'm still happy for Solskjaer to stay as United manager because I have to believe that he won't be a success, because otherwise I have to live in a reality where he is going to be a success. That's all I'll have. So no, but I do think I was a little bit surprised. I was quite dismissive of Man United, I'll be perfectly honest. Because I did feel that, generally speaking, we've seen in the last couple of years, particularly with the Guardiola City, Klopp, Liverpool thing, that I think to win the title, you need to have everything. You need to have everything in your locker. You need to have world-class players, squad depth. You need to have a very aggressive system. You need to have big players. You need to have technically gifted players, and you need to have a world-class manager, and you need to have a phenomenal transfer strategy and a well-run football club, almost from top to bottom. And United fell short in a couple of categories there, and I thought that was what would keep them away from top spot. But this is a phenomenal opportunity this season for a team to capitalise on struggles, and and Liverpool struggles quite prevalent. City have had their own along the way in terms of injuries. Like Sergio Aguero being the prime example of that. A team that's relied on him so heavily and hasn't been able to do that. That's a big miss for them. So no, I was surprised, but I shouldn't have been. And I think seeing United play. I've watched United play a couple of times this season and not necessarily been blown away, but there is an X factor there, and that X factor is winning football matches. So regardless of what we feel or think about the style of play or the quality of the manager, what's undisputed right now is the fact that United are absolutely flying in the league.
And I think, you've hit the nail on the head. You talk about the injuries, you've had those as well. It's a weird season as well. There's been a drop off from Liverpool and Man City for whatever reason, and that's opened a door that only United have walked through. I mean, Spurs, Chelsea, they could have been in this position. They've not had that consistency themselves. With the game on Sunday, the draw at Anfield, what was your takeaway from a Liverpool point of view from that? Do you think you turned up, or what's the issue at the moment?
I think it was improved from what we've seen in the game previously. Obviously, we'd lost to Southampton, and we'd had that same partnership at the back in Henderson and Fabinho, albeit they were on opposite sides. Henderson played the right side of centre half against Southampton, and it was a much better fit this time round. So I was quite calm about how Liverpool played. I thought particularly the first half, it felt like it was going to plan. But what's interesting about the game was I felt both managers probably went in at half time thinking this is going exactly how I wanted it to go. Are they waiting for his moment for the team to kind of hit us with pace on the break? And Liverpool just looking to grind United down and create an atmosphere where a mistake happens and you capitalise. And as it turns out, ultimately the chances fell more United's way in the end. But we've seen that happen a lot. And that was the thing for me, is that what Liverpool haven't got at the moment is a team that's fully up to speed. It's all well and good. And I saw Harry Maguire saying this post-match about the Liverpool's makeshift defence. He's going, the good players, and the defence has been quite good. The defence has been quite good, but the way Liverpool's systemically is built, we undermine other areas of the pitch by trying to sort of solidify what we're doing at the back. And I think that's had a bit of a negative impact. So we ended up with a midfield of Thiago, phenomenally talented, but not match sharp. Shaqiri, 2 inches tall and not match sharp. And then Gini Wijnaldum, who's played an absolute ton of football, which is by the by. I thought we were okay. But I also don't think that there was anything in that game that made me think I didn't feel like we were robbed. I didn't feel like Liverpool was so dominant that this was a game where, if one little thing would go away or one controversial incident, we were probably all right with the draw. All told, it was probably about what we deserved.
And going forward from that, I know we're going to talk about the FA Cup now, but on the league, I think that's where everybody's focused at the moment. What are your feelings about Liverpool? Jordan Henderson after the game was sort of like, he said Man United felt they should have won. Who said that? The arrogance is there still, which is what you want when you're the title holders, and the belief is there with the players. Where is it with you as a fan? You're not going to get Van Dijk back, are you? You've got those issues. It's pretty much going to be this team. Struggled to score goals recently, but you smashed Palace 7-0 not that long ago. Do you feel that you are going to be a title contender, or do you have a little bit of concern?
Yeah, I mean, look, there's concerns because I've lived, I'm 38 years old now, and I lived for the vast majority of my life as a Liverpool fan with us not being at the top table. You know what I mean? And having it whenever we have it, things go well. You always feel like, how's this going to come undone? And when is this all going to come to an end? And that's not been this Liverpool side for a few years, and I still have that. It's got a lot of credit in the bank. And I think, we've managed our way through a tricky situation so far this season so well. The point is, we're at the midway point of the season now. That's, and you look at how many twists and turns there have been. City were being written off within a month or two of the season. United the same. There's every single club has been a crisis club at some point, because I contend this, that there's too many good football clubs for too few spaces that are classed as success. So whenever you're not absolutely flying, everyone's desperate, and that's rival fans are desperate to jump on board, and more so when it's Liverpool and Manchester United, because let's face it, when you're the two most successful clubs in British football, it means that you've put a lot of noses out of joint in the process of fans of other clubs. So everyone's desperate to put the knife into both teams. It definitely feels a lot more like there's a lot more pressure around clubs like Liverpool and United when it isn't quite going to plan. But no, I think Liverpool are all right. I think, kind of like yourselves, there's a lot of depth there and there's a lot of quality there. I think if we get if we don't lose any more top players and we go for a good spell and maybe we get a few more back and we get them up to speed, I still think we'll be there or thereabouts, because I just don't think there's enough experience at the top from the other teams that are challenging.
Yeah, and I'd put United into that category. I think that's injuries and, as you say, the experience, and both sides would probably like a bit of transfer activity around centre back this January, and we're probably both neither going to get it. You mentioned City there, that win against Villa. I mean, look, clearly it was offside. It wasn't offside, sorry, but I said it when it went in. It's just one of those rules that I don't think even Tyrone Mings knows about. I think that's the hardest game they've got for a while. Sorry, were you going to say something there, Paul? I thought you...
No. I love the notion that there's probably loads of really horrible sexists sat at home who've been using the offside rule as some sort of stick with which to beat a certain degree of supporter base, and now I probably sat at home completely baffled, because everyone is there. I've learned more nuances of football rules this year than I have done in every other year previous to this. Now it's mad, but again, it feeds into what we're kind of seeing with using Liverpool at this last year is when you looks in. And that's another massive factor in being at the top of the league. And that's the double upsetting thing about Man City is they're amazing. They've got a great run. They've had a great run of form. They've got great players, great depth, great manager, all these things. And they're getting loads of really mad decisions going for them. It's absolutely infuriating.
What I loved about that, it's like the guy who hits a hole in one and he smacks it, it goes off 3 trees and went in, and when I meant it. All these City fans, when I was saying on social media, how is that not offside? And they're like, it's clearly onside. And you're like, yeah, you've got no idea. It's just fair play. I knew when VAR gave it, it was clearly onside, but I was like, that is just a weird rule. But on City, they've got, I think that was probably one of their hardest games they've got out of about 8 league games sandwiched in between the Villa game or either side. United, Liverpool, obviously this week the Fulham Burnley, sandwiched in between that is the FA Cup game, and then we've got Sheffield United, you've got Spurs. It's exactly a week either way. I know you're playing Thursday nights, both your league games, 3 games in a week. I think it's fair to say that the Premier League games are probably the priority, especially when you've got Spurs. How do you approach this FA Cup game, the importance of it? How do you think Klopp will approach it?
I think we start with the sports science of it all. I think Klopp does this, generally speaking. I think there's, again, we were saying this over on Redmen, that I think it's the third most important competition. It goes league, Champions League, depending on which your preference is for the season, and then the FA Cup. And I think I think Liverpool need the FA Cup. I think we need the games because I think there's players who need to get up to speed, but there's also players who need to not play football as well, I think. So I think he starts from that perspective, and I think he always has. He turns around to there's a spreadsheet guy, and the guy goes, this guy can do 90 minutes, this guy can do 90 minutes, this guy can only do 75, this guy's only got 30 minutes, keep him out, keep him away from the team. We might be okay because we've not played anywhere near as much football as United since before Christmas, because you of course had the League Cup games to fit in there as well as a couple of the obviously the rescheduled ones. So we might not rotate too heavily, but I do think this is where I don't think Thiago would be playing this game in an ideal world, but I think he will, because I think we need to get minutes in his legs. I don't think, and I think our front three, we just need to get them into some sort of form. So there's a very slight chance that there'll be a bunch of guys who go, he's got to play because we're going to need them for the coming weeks, for the battles ahead. And then we might actually go, marginally stronger, because for a start, there's maybe not too much in the others. Divock Origi will probably play, but he shouldn't, because I don't kind of see the point. I'd rather say to Mohamed Salah, now mate, you go again, because you've been a bit crap the last couple of weeks. I want you to go out there, get a goal, and get yourself back in the saddle again. So it's hard to judge what we'll do, but it certainly won't be the same strength of team that we're playing in the league either end.
It's interesting because I think if Ollie gets an inclination that Klopp might go a bit strong, he'll go stronger as well, and we might end up with virtually two first teams. For those who don't know, and obviously on our channel, is there any players that we know the traditional 11 that Liverpool will go for? Are there any players that you think are going to start nailed on to start in this game who wouldn't be a normal starter?
Without wishing to disrespect any of the others, I'd say some names, but you probably know everyone in Liverpool's squad at this point. It's just kind of the way it is, isn't it? But it wouldn't show. I reckon Oxlade-Chamberlain will play in this. He's desperate for minutes, and I think he's such a good footballer. He's just struggling to get into the side at the moment. He's had so many injury problems in the last couple of years. He's been really unlucky, but he was a really useful squad member for us last season. So I think it's important to get him up to speed. Outside of that, probably Curtis Jones will get a game. If not, it may be both, but certainly one from Curtis Jones or Oxlade-Chamberlain, I think, will start this one. And the thing about Curtis Jones is he had his confidence knocked a little bit. He gave away the ball in the build-up to West Brom's goal, equalising goal against us, which kind of kick-started this poor run of form. But he's brimming with, he's naturally confident, he's naturally cocky, he's very good with both feet, very, very direct, he's quite aggressive. We saw it in the FA Cup last season. He stuck an absolute worldie in against Everton as well, and he's kicked on. So this could be a really good opportunity for him to kind of continue to etch his name into Liverpool folklore.
And more interest for United fans, because I think we hoped that we might exploit your defence. I mean, we played Rashford at number 9. It's not his position, and it was clearly just to try and get in a situation where he had a sprint with Henderson and it never came off. Do you think you will make changes to your back four, specifically the centre backs, or is that that weaken you too much? That's going to be the massive conundrum moving forward, because for me, I'd just be picking a settled back line as best as possible. Now, I can't see a world where Matip's going to be playing 3 games in a week if he's fit. So he's in our best defence. And I think Fabinho Matip is our best centre-back pairing that we've got available to us. Then underneath that, you've got Henderson, Fabinho. And then what you do is you're then either throwing in one of Reece Williams or Nat Phillips. And both of them are, for all the will in the world, Nat Phillips is going to end up in a second-tier league, I think, on the continent somewhere, or maybe the Championship or something at that kind of level. And Reece Williams is a bit too young to tell, but what I do know about both of them is they're quite slow. And I think that's the reason why Henderson started in the league games, and why I think Rashford was gambled as centre-forward, because I think Solskjaer thought we were going to put one of those lads at the back. Normally one of those 2 lads would definitely play in the FA Cup. I'm not sure we'd risk them, because I think they're too much of a liability, because even if you rotate, you're not going to be lacking in pace up front. Yeah. Okay. And just a quick thought. Thankfully, there's no replay, so we won't be playing for the 3rd time until I think we've got you in April in the league. So how's this going to end up? It is at Old Trafford for whatever that counts at the moment. Obviously the Anfield game didn't really give much of an impact. It's a game on play on the park, really, couldn't they? But how do you fancy this one?
I'm hoping that Liverpool have got a bit of a bit of a hoodoo at Old Trafford. You know, we just don't have a great record there at all. And it's telling because you think there's some really outstanding wins there, and they are that. They're so sporadic that they mean so much more as a result of it. This would be a wonderful opportunity, I think. United had this last week, by the way, and that's why, in some regards, a draw was actually not a bad result for us, because United have kind of got a bit of a similar thing as well themselves. And with Liverpool having that great home record, it was a chance for them that to kind of be broken. This, I'm hoping, is a chance for Liverpool to kind of get over that mental block at Old Trafford. It's a bit of a free hit, because, you know, if you go hard and you lose, then it's the FA Cup. It doesn't derail the big things. But yeah, if we manage to do something and get a good win under our belt finally at Old Trafford, then maybe it's something we can carry forward.
Yeah, I won't lose sleep if we go out, as long as we win the league games afterwards. And I think you've always got that excuse that as long as you've left 3 or 4 first teamers out, you can go, well, it wasn't the first team anyway. But if you win, you beat your rivals, don't you?
Or just do what Fergie did and sub off all the good players when you're losing in the last 15 minutes, and then say, "Oh, look at it, we ended the game without this." So it means it was never a really serious game. Yeah, quality. A number of those wonderful techniques that can be pulled out if needs be. Definitely.
Well, look, thanks for coming on, Paul. Really appreciate it. Redmen TV. You can check it out there. You're doing your own watch-alongs now as well, which is fantastic.
Yeah, trying our best at it. Trying my hand at commentary, which has been good fun. To be honest, I noticed we seem to have a lot of United fans over there lately. We're all looking to revel in Liverpool dip in form. So yeah.
As soon as you let a goal in or you're having a bad result, your numbers do tend to go up a little bit. With I've never understood. I totally understand why that is. It's part of the rivalry, isn't it? But really appreciate you coming on, and it's really been nice to have that little bit after the league game as well.
Yeah, definitely.
Thanks everyone for watching. We'll catch you on the next one.